What is going on, guys? Now this is the guy here, and today we're not going to be playing a game, unfortunately, but we are going to be doing another video that I've talked about before on my channel. As you all know, I have a SCUF Vantage, and I also have a SCUF Impact now. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you've heard me talk about the Vantage. But I haven't talked a whole lot about the Impact, and I mentioned that I wasn't going to talk about the Impact because I wanted to do kind of like a mini series on my channel where we compare a lot of the pro controllers that are out there and figure out which one is the best, or which one's going to be the best for you as a potential buyer according to your play style and what you like and what you need. Now, when I say there's a lot of them out there, there's a lot of them out there. I know everybody knows the big name SCUF. Everybody's heard of them. But there's actually a lot of other brands out there that a lot of people seem to think are better, that don't get a lot of attention. So what I'm going to be doing on my channel is I'm going to be comparing all of these controllers to each other to figure out which one is the best. And by doing that, I'm going to be comparing two of them together, and whichever one is the best, that one will get compared to the next one that we compare, and so on, and keep going until we figure out that we've compared all of them and we're standing with which one is the best. So obviously I'm going to start off with comparing the SCUF controllers that are out there, because there's three of them, three different kinds, and a lot of people aren't sure which kind of SCUF that they need specifically. So I have the Vantage and I have the Impact, and those are the two main ones that I think people use nowadays. I know just recently one of my friends bought the Infinity, and he seems to really like it, and it seems to work for him, so we'll also do the Infinity eventually. And I probably won't use that one, just because we'll get into reasons when we compare it, but I might do a giveaway for that one, so be on the lookout for that. But let's get into it. As you guys know, I have the Vantage, the SCUF Vantage. This is the first SCUF I ever bought. And I know I've shown it on my channel before. This is what I look like with my customization pack that I chose. I got the red faceplate and some white analog sticks, buttons, and all that stuff. For the price, this SCUF Vantage starts out at $199.95. Just a plain controller, no customization, no fancy stuff. $199, $200 for the controller. And with the customization, it's an automatic $30 charge for a customized controller, so you might as well at that point do whatever with it that you wish, because if you're gonna pay for the extra $30, just go ahead and just customize the full thing. Unfortunately though, there's some parts of this that are not customizable, at least from what I saw when I got mine, and I think I was just looking on the website to see if there's any changes as far as the customization. They might have added a few more colors to the faceplates than when I pre-ordered mine, because I got them I bought mine before it was even released yet. But the top triggers here are not customizable. They stay that gray color, and also the side buttons that are what makes the Vantage different from the Impact, the main thing that makes it different from the Impact, are also not customizable. Your share button and your options button, not customizable. And also your buttons, not customizable. So those will stay how they are. The gray color, the buttons will be black with the little logos on them. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. $30 for customization. You're basically just going to be picking the colors for the faceplate, the analog sticks, the D-pad, and your long triggers if you choose to use those. As far as like the main functionality of the SCUF, I've had a lot of issues with it since I got it, and I'm going to be talking about post firmware update 0.8, because before that, when it was first released up until they made that firmware update, we're not even going to talk about it. We're going to pretend it didn't happen. It was but if you want to know a lot of the issues I've had, you can go back and listen to my videos about me talking about it, but I'm going to recap on them here in this video, just so you don't got to do that if you don't want to. But I probably am going to forget some of the things that I mentioned in those videos, because I haven't used the Vantage in a while. I haven't used the Vantage in a while since I got my Impact. But anyways, first and foremost, there's a lot of issues I think that shouldn't exist with this thing. For one, I can't turn on the PlayStation with this controller. I can't press the PlayStation button and turn on my PlayStation 4. Supposedly the firmware update was supposed to fix that, but I did the firmware update and it still can't do it. So that's number one. But I mean, for me, it's not really much of an issue because I sit right next to my PlayStation 4, so I can just press a button and pick up the controller and press the button on the controller, and we're good to go. But I can see for somebody that if you sit on a couch and play your PS4 and you sit down on the couch and you forget to press the PS4 button before you sit down, and you gotta get up and press. I can understand that being a nuisance to some people. So we'll put that a little tick mark in the cons column. I've had, well, when I say recently, I mean the most recent use of my Vantage controller. I've had some issues with the thumbsticks, specifically the left one. The right one hasn't given me too many problems, but the left one, the one that I'm going to be using for player control, movement control in game, so when it makes my player move left and right, backwards, forward, all that stuff, that one's kind of been a bit wonky in the sense that it'll drift by itself, specifically in a downward motion. So if I'm playing a game and I try to stop moving, my player will just kind of start slowly walking backwards. Or if I'm moving forward, sometimes he'll just like kind of move into from like a full-on movement, like whatever, full speed, sprinting, whatever, to kind of like pulling up and just kind of like jogging a little bit, you know. And like in Battle Royale games, while I'm gliding to my destination or parachuting or whatever game I'm playing, I'll kind of like pull up and stop gliding towards where I want to go. But so that's a big issue as far as the functionality of the controller goes. I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again, of course. I've had some issues with having a headset plugged into it, and it's an issue that I didn't have with my regular PS4 controllers, because like I said, this was the first SCUF Vantage I got, or excuse me, the first SCUF controller I got. So I was coming from a regular PS4 controller. So that's when I make comparisons to the Vantage, more than likely it'll be to the regular controller more so than the Impact, just because that was what I was transitioning between. But anyways, so if I plug in a headset, I get a little buzzing noise in my ear, and if I press a button or something, it kind of makes like a little bit slightly louder, a slightly higher pitched buzz, almost like the controller is reacting to the button I'm pressing into the headset. So that's a bit strange, and I'm not 100% sure if the issue is because I have an audio chat cable for my Elgato, because that's what I use to record all of my gameplay. So when I'm playing with people and I want to record, I have to use a chat audio cable to plug my headset into and plug into the controller and plug into the Elgato, so that way it kind of intercepts that audio between the headset and the controller. And that might be the issue. I didn't ever have it with the regular PS4 controllers, but it was a big problem with the Vantage. Another thing is like the paddles. When you click them, you can hear me clicking them. They're very loud, and you can hear them whenever I'm recording a video. My microphone for my live commentary audio always picks it up, and it's extremely loud. So I'll be playing, and if I'm not talking, you'll just hear the whole time I'm playing. So it's kind of another annoying thing that maybe only a content creator like myself would find annoying or find a nuisance. But I don't know, some people, maybe you're home with your girlfriend or something, and she just gets really annoyed by hearing you clicking your paddles all day long while you're playing video games. So that's another thing. The paddles are extremely loud for this controller. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the pros. It has the 2 extra buttons. We'll give that that's a plus. In a game where you can completely personalize your button layouts, like in Fortnite, they just recently a few months ago added the fully personalized button layout, where you can literally select every button and what you want that button to do versus preset button layouts. So a game like that, the 2 buttons are absolutely incredible. Having those 2 extra side buttons that you can set them to do whatever you need them to do or whatever you want them to do to make your life easier while you're playing the game is an absolute game changer. As soon as I got the Vantage, it was just, I don't know, it was like my Fortnite controls were just so much easier and so much simpler for me. And in case you guys didn't know, if you're new to the channel, pretty much all I play on my channel is shooters. I'm kind of getting into some other games, but basically all I play is shooters. But anyways, so it has the 2 buttons, and those are absolutely beautiful when it comes to button layouts that are 100% in your control. I found that in a game like Call of Duty or now Apex Legends, where it's pre-made button layouts and you can't really personalize your button layout to your liking as much, I was finding it difficult to find use for the 2-side buttons. Like, I was actually struggling to look for an option to set those as, just because it was, I don't know, it was at that point, I'm really worried about the main functions of the game, picking up objects, switching weapons, jumping, and those are pretty much all taken care of on the back 4 paddles, and I was just kind of using these to like crouch, which I can do with my thumb on the thumbstick, and melee, which I'm not ever going to really do in a game like Call of Duty, maybe Apex, but you know, it wasn't really that important. So I was really struggling to find these worth having on the controller in a game like that. But like I said, in a game like Fortnite, where it's 100% under your control, they're an absolute game changer. And we have a couple things to talk about as far as like another part of the functionality. The remapping is extremely simple and extremely fluid on this controller. All you do is there's a little switch over here underneath this left thumbstick. Is that the left? That's the right thumbstick. Underneath the right thumbstick, that you just switch it over, and that switches it into a remapping, so you can remap your buttons, well, your paddles and your side buttons, and then you switch it back, and it locks it in at whatever you just remapped them to. Also, I got with the wired and wireless playability, just in case. I mean, like I said, I sit next to my PlayStation, so I don't really use the wireless USB, or the wireless Bluetooth all that much for this controller, or really any controller. But it's nice to have just in case. So you can switch between the Bluetooth with this switch over here. You can switch between the Bluetooth and the wired connectivity. Super easy there too. And this black bar you see underneath here, this is for your like headset volume control when you have it plugged into the controller. So it helps with kind of making sure that things aren't going to be too loud or too soft. And if they are, you don't have to go through the options of like pressing a button on your headset or going through your settings on the PlayStation and upping your game audio, anything like that. You can just kind of swipe your thumb a little bit on this thing and it raises it up a little bit. However, I was finding it extremely difficult to get just the right volume while using this little bar, because it's a bit tricky as far as the feel to it. It would either be super loud or not loud enough. I was finding it very difficult to find that happy medium in between. But overall, it's another pretty useful thing that this controller has that the other controllers don't. The customization options. First of all, like I said, this thing came with a flat rate of $30 for the customization, so everything after that initial $30 charge is basically, I wouldn't say free, but it's all included. So you can customize this however you want, or however you can, I should say. And the customization options are extremely easy to interchange. For the faceplate, I'm not going to do it because I've got the disc thing on here for my D-pad, and it'll pop off if I try and take the faceplate off. But you can just pop this faceplate right off. It's magnetically attached. All of these, the long hair trigger stops, are just take them right off. The analog sticks just pops right off. The D-pad just pops right off. All of it is super easy to interchange. So if you get another SCUF Vantage, or you get one of the accessory faceplate packs or whatever, you can easily just swap them, and it makes it super easy to just keep things fresh, I guess. I mean, you know, it's whatever. If something breaks, it's easy to replace. You know, you don't got to worry about sending it in and have them do it themselves. And it also came with a lot of the accessories. My Impact didn't come with a lot of these, but I'm going to talk more about that. But this thing came with a charging cord. It came with a carrying case. It came with additional sticks, D-pad, and also trigger hair stops. And when I got it, technically mine came with an extra faceplate too, because when I pre-ordered it, I did the customization, but when they went to send them out to the pre-orders, that I guess supposedly they had a significantly larger amount of pre-orders than they were anticipating, and they couldn't get the customized ones out, so they just sent everybody the standard one with the gray faceplate that you see like in GameStop or on the website. So everybody got the green faceplate with like it was like a neon yellow like analog stick rings, which by the way, those are really easy to interchange too. You just pop those right out. I forgot to mention those. So I have the gray one as well too, and I also have all of the black sticks and buttons that came with it. But I'm pretty sure you get those anyways because it gave me a little sleeve with all of those things on it. So you get a lot of the accessories and stuff included, and I didn't see an option to buy an accessory pack when I was just looking at the price for everything. So I'm assuming that that is also included with, I don't quote me on that, that's what I'm assuming because I have no reason to believe otherwise. Overall, this thing is very useful. Other than the issues that I've had with it, if I could get those fixed, I would absolutely love this controller, and I would 100% encourage you to get one if you're looking for a SCUF to get. But with that all being said, let's go ahead and talk about the Impact. So I'm going to put down my SCUF Vantage. So this is the Impact. I haven't shown it on my channel yet. It's currently on because my PlayStation's on. I'm like waiting to finish this video to get into it, you know, get in the games. But this is the SCUF Impact that I got. As you can see, it's very similarly shaped to the Vantage. However, the thumbsticks are down where a normal PlayStation 4 controller would be. I don't think I mentioned that. The left analog stick is like way up here like on an Xbox. So if you're an Xbox player and you're transitioning to PlayStation 4 or your PlayStation controller and you want to transition to Xbox, it's a good in-between controller to have. But anyways, so we're talking about the Impact. Immediately you'll notice that there's not a lot of the like options that the Vantage has. There's no remapping switch, there's no wired connectivity switch, there's no side buttons. Of course, that's what mainly sets the Vantage apart from the other SCUF controllers. But this thing starts out at $149.99, $150 versus the SCUF's $200. However, it's not a flat rate for customization, so you're paying for every customization option that you can get. I went on the website and I customized one of these to better match the options that you can get with the Vantage, and instead of the Vantage's $229.95, $230, which is what it would be with the $30 customization option added, this ended up being $250, because I actually forgot to mention this too. The trigger stops are included on the back of the Vantage too, so you don't gotta pay extra for those. But it's not included on these. As you can see, I didn't get the trigger stops on this one, but you can. You gotta pay for that. You pay for the faceplate, you pay for the buttons, you pay for the sticks, you pay for the D-pad, you pay for everything. And one of the things that really bothered me when I was making the Vantage, or excuse me, the Impact, is you have an option, yes or no, for electromagnetic remapping for your paddles. And basically what that means is whether or not your paddles can be remapped. And that's an extra $15 automatically off the bat. That's the first option you're given when you're customizing your controllers. Do you want that or not? So basically, it's asking you $15. For $15, do you want to be able to change these paddles to however you want them to be? And that's something that I didn't realize was an option, because I was listening to all kinds of YouTubers talk about the SCUF and the SCUF Impact when it first came out. I'm talking about this years ago when it first came out. And they were talking about how it's so awesome you can remap all your paddles to set them to whatever you want. But that's not standard. That's an extra $15 charge included, or not included, with the price of the controller. I have a huge problem with that, because if I want to play a game that maybe the X and square and triangle and circle don't really fit to what I need them to do, and I can't change that, that's a bit ridiculous to have to charge $15 just for that, just for the functionality of the controller to be as advertised, because it is technically advertised that you can change the paddles to be however you want. But that's an automatic, like I said, that's an automatic $15. But anyways, what I was saying was I decked this thing out to be exactly like the Vantage, and it ended up going to $251 versus the Vantage's $230. So you can get the stock one a lot cheaper, but if you want to customize it to match like a lot of the things that are included with the regular Vantage, it's going to cost you a lot more, almost $20, actually more than $20 more than the Vantage. So if you're getting a fully kitted, fully customized controller, you might as well just go with the Vantage. That can also be a positive thing, because if you're wanting to customize it, but you don't necessarily need or want it to be fully kitted with all the bells and whistles, you can cut some corners in prices. Maybe choose some less expensive color options, or Like I said, I didn't get the trigger stops on the back of mine because I can live without those. So that was cutting a corner there. There's a lot of places that you can cut corners on the price. I built one that was, I think, would function very well for the Impact for like $180. And I think this one cost me, I want to say like roughly $200. So the standard price of a plain Vantage with no customization. So for basically, in comparison to the Vantage, the main problem I have with this thing is the electromagnetic remapping is very difficult. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, you just slap, it gives you a little magnet. I have it somewhere. I'm not going to dig for it. But it gives you a little magnet thing that you just place on the back of the controller right here in between the paddles, and then you can change the paddles to whatever buttons and D-pads you want them to be, and then you just take it off and that locks it in. Well, I have had some issues where that doesn't work. I've tried to remap some of these paddles to a D-pad direction, and it just doesn't work. For Apex Legends, you use the D-pad a lot more than you do in other games. You use the side D-pad to the right for grenades and an up D-pad to heal. So I was trying to like, oh, let me set some of these controls to be the grenades and the heals, but for some reason the up D-pad, it doesn't want to remap to that. It tried remapping to the left, it tried remapping to the right, it tried not remapping at all. It remapped to circle. I wasn't even pressing circle, but I don't know, it's just weird. So it's a bit weird and tricky, and it's difficult to get it how you want it to be. This video is going to be super long. So the main thing, like, you know, it doesn't have the 2 extra buttons. But like I said, in a game like Apex or Call of Duty, where you're not having fully customized, fully personalized button layouts, you're not really going to miss those 2 buttons all that much. I certainly don't from this thing. But as far as the overall functionality goes of the controller, haven't had any issues as far as like the thumbsticks messing up, buttons messing up, or anything other than that. What I just mentioned with the electromagnetic remapping not working properly sometimes. I haven't had any huge issues that has made me say like, oh, this is a piece of crap. I wish I'd never spent the money on this thing. It definitely doesn't have a lot of the issues that the Vantage had when I first got my Vantage, and still has now past the firmware update. But you can turn on the PlayStation with this thing. You can turn off the PlayStation with this thing. This thing works well as a controller as far as the overall functionality of it goes. However, the headset noise that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the Vantage still occurs with this controller. So that's, I don't know, maybe it's just the audio cable, or maybe, but like I said, it never did any of those issues with the regular PS4 controllers, the Sony DualShock controllers. You never did that with any of those. So it's making me think that there's just some compatibility issue that's going on with the headset and this thing. And also, I hate the way, if you look, the way that headset jack is sitting in that little crevice. That is the most annoying thing ever, because that audio cable is kind of fat. This thing could be as wide as it needs to be and still go into that hole, just because it doesn't have anything around it. On this controller, because it sits in that little nook like that, I had to cut, let me find the cable. I had to cut around the freaking thing with a knife, so that way it would fit into that jack and I can use it with this controller. And also my headset, the actual headset wire itself, has this little L hook on it. This weird, like, it goes 90 degrees to the left, which with any other controller wouldn't be an issue, but with this thing, I have to have the jack sticking straight up away from the controller, and then the wire just gets in my way. It gets tangled up on my thumbs while I'm playing. It's just super annoying. I don't know why they thought that was going to be a good idea, that was going to help the controller and make it seem better. That's stupid, and that is just like the most annoying thing about this controller. It's not like I hate the controller because of this. That's just dumb, and it annoys me that is just so dumb that they did that. But whatever. It doesn't come with a lot of the accessory. It comes with a lot more customization options as far as compared to the Vantage. You can customize the faceplate, of course. You can customize the triggers. You can customize the buttons. You can customize the D-pad. You can customize analog sticks. Pretty much everything about this controller is fully customizable, which is a plus compared to the Vantage. It was only some of the cosmetic parts of it. But like I said, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg if you really want to deck this thing out how you want to. So that might be not really relevant because you're probably won't be paying for a lot of those options anyways. And on the note of that customization, as far as I know, you can't take this thing apart like you can the Vantage. On the Vantage, everything just pops off and is interchangeable just like that. As far as I know, the only thing that is interchangeable on this is the thumbsticks. That's the only thing you can take off of this. I can't take that D-pad off. I can't take the faceplates off. I can't take the trigger color things off and interchange those. The analog stick is the only thing I can take off and interchange with something different. I really hope you are committed to the decisions that you make as far as customizations goes, because once you pay that $250, that's it. You're stuck with that, which is a huge negative considering how much more expensive it makes the controller, and you can't interchange them. But this thing didn't come with any of the accessories that the Vantage did. It didn't come with extra analog sticks. It didn't come with extra buttons. It didn't come with a trigger stop key, which the Vantage did. It didn't even come with a charging cord. When I opened the box, this was what was inside with like the instructions. It didn't come with anything. The Vantage came with a carrying case too. This thing did not. I'm using the Vantage, the cord I got with the Vantage to keep this thing like while it's wired, plugged in and charged. So that was another huge thing. So as far as which one's better, as far as the functionality of it goes, I would say this one just because it hasn't had any issues. But if I could get those problems fixed on my Vantage, then it could be either way, because then they would function the exact same. If not, the Vantage would function better. But as far as like what you're going to be getting for your money, I would probably say the Vantage is better because it's not that much more expensive and you get a lot more out of it and a lot more with it. So this is a very rough first episode. I'm going to have to order a tie, and we'll come back and revisit it after I've tried to get the Vantage issues fixed. And if I can get them fixed, then we'll decide. If not, then we'll decide. So we'll come back in a little while and decide which one is the winner for this. But at least it was an educational video at the very least. It gave some insight to somebody who's potentially going to buy a SCUF and don't really know anything about it. That's how I was. I just bought the Vantage because it was the newest one out, so I assumed it was the best. So education, knowledge is power. If you know what you need to know about the controller before you make the purchase, then you end up making the right purchase and you're happy with your purchase. So that's what really the ultimate goal of this series is to just help somebody that needs help, because I didn't have any of that help. I looked up videos on the SCUFs before I bought it, and it was of course nothing but sponsorships, people talking about how awesome the SCUF was, how it worked so perfectly, and then I got mine and I had a lot of issues with it that I didn't expect because of how high of praise people were giving these controllers. But anyway, so that's the ultimate point of this series, is helping somebody who needs help finding the right controller that they need. So anyways, there you go. That's episode 1, the Vantage versus the Impact. We're going to have to revisit to find a winner. So that's a terrible start to this series, but it is what it is. We're going to have to do it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new, please subscribe. Help me out. It's free and it helps me out a lot. It makes me feel like I'm doing something good. Leave a like down below if you want to. Comment. Your feedback is always welcome. Let me know which one you like better. If you have the Vantage and the Impact, which one you like better. Give me some reasons why. Please let me know. I really want to hear your feedback because I'm kind of torn on this one, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, leave a comment if you want to. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I think that's the usual thing. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out.